Hi there. This time I'd like to talk about how the rights, the human rights of Americans are under attack and just how that came to be. Now you've heard about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, in part one of this two-part series, I talk a little bit about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I point out that it is not and was never intended to be a complete list. There are lots of other rights. If you haven't played that video before, I do recommend you do so before going on with this one. Now, in that video, I point out that the number of rights that our government recognizes as being unalienable has expanded over time. Also, the definition of who our government recognizes as possessing those rights has grown to include women, former slaves, and, well, most all human beings. And this has been the prime driver of our success as a people and as a country. But since 1980, that whole process has been reversed. The government has been taking away rights and restricting which human beings are allowed to exercise their rights. They have been taking away rights from humans, but they have been given them to non-human entities. The Supreme Court said that corporations can have the same rights as humans. Well, I'll tell you this, any rights that corporations have are not unalienable. They are bestowed by government, not by the creator of human beings. As a matter of fact, since the creator of corporations and other similar entities is government, government can bestow and government can withdraw the rights of corporations. And I talk a little bit more about that in some of my other videos, because that's one of the things we need to do is cut back on the rights of corporations. But I'm not going to say anything more about that because, as I say, I talk about them in some of my other videos. So, even though corporations' rights can be taken away by the government, human rights are unalienable. That means they are beyond the reach of government. Declaration said so. Now, another thing that they have been doing is giving special privileges to aristocracies. And this is a clear violation of the Declaration. But it's also something I discuss in some of my other videos. Here, I am talking mostly about human rights. And as I noted in part one, the Declaration specifically declares that the main purpose of government is to secure the unalienable rights of human persons. And over time, since 1776, the unalienable rights which America recognizes and the human persons which America recognizes as having those unalienable rights has grown. And this has been one of the secrets of our success as a nation and as a people. More rights for more people generates progress of all kinds. It unleashes human creativity. It builds wealth. It has created an optimistic nation of empowered individuals. We, the people. It has enabled entrepreneurs. In an environment of expanding human rights, young people with new ideas have the resources to try them out. Now, not many fail, but it's a learning experience for them, and they are not completely ruined by their failure because they still have their human rights. And while many fail, some succeed spectacularly, and of course they benefit all. I talk about this a little bit more in my video on geniuses. The progress of expanding rights has not been steady, and there have been setbacks, but there have also been times of great improvement. I listed some of these in my previous video. The Magna Carta in 1215, which established some rights for some people. And then in 1776 came the Declaration, which had the 3 enumerated unalienable rights, and later more were specified in the Constitution of the United States, especially the Bill of Rights. In the 1830s, the Jacksonian Democrats established more rights for more humans, and in the 1860s, the war between the states led to rights being expanded. Then in the early 20th century, during the Progressive Era, more progress was made. Moving forward in the 1930s, you had the New Deal. In the 1960s, you had the civil rights, the feminist, and the anti-war movement, broadening both the rights and the individuals who are perceived to possess those rights. To the point where our rights include freedom from unreasonable force and imprisonment, the right to bear arms, the right to disagree with the government, the right to fresh water and sanitation, sexual reproductive rights for both men and women, shelter, electric power, money and credit, heat and air conditioning, health care, education. You may be listening to me here and thinking, wait a minute. African Americans don't really have freedom from unreasonable force and imprisonment. Sexual reproductive rights for women have been being removed. All kinds of states have been doing some of that. The people of Flint, Michigan don't seem to have the right to fresh water. A whole lot of folks can no longer afford an education. And an increasing number of Americans are becoming homeless. What's going on here? Where are these rights going? Well, we were doing pretty good up until 1980, when something I call the Ronnie Rodeo reactionary Republican revolution started. And that's been going on now for almost 40 years. And during that time, we have made a little progress, but mostly we've been going backwards. The United States government has been taking away the unalienable rights of its citizens and residents and reducing the number of human beings it considers to possess unalienable rights. Now, this government was founded on a declaration which declared that the rights of humans, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, are unalienable. They are given by the creator of those humans and cannot be taken away by any government. As a matter of fact, the Declaration specifically states that the main purpose of government is to secure those rights for human beings. But Ronnie Rodeo was a con man working for a group of evil aristocrats and corporations. He was a pretty smooth con man, and he fooled a lot of people. And that con has been going on ever since. But the guy who's operating the con right now, the guy who is fronting for those corporations and aristocrats, is not nearly as smooth or as good an actor as Ronnie Rodeo, and it should be clear to most human beings that the American dream, which has always been based on expanding rights, acknowledged for an expanding number of people, is being taken away. The secret of our success as a nation and as a people is being destroyed. And far from making America great again, those currently in positions of power are attempting to make America a colony again, and most of its people slaves again. If Mr. Jefferson and Mr. Adams and Dr. Franklin were alive today, they would say it's time for a revolution. Because any government which does not secure the unalienable rights of human beings, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, has no right to exist. Fortunately, that same generation of wise political leaders who brought us the Declaration of Independence also created the Constitution of the United States, and I believe it is still possible to revolutionarily change our government within that Constitution. But we, the people of the United States, need to do it, and we need to do it now. Pretty soon, all our human rights, including life, liberty, and especially the pursuit of happiness, are going to be taken away by the same government which is supposed to secure them for us and our posterity. Government of the people by the lawyers and lobbyists and professional politicians for the corporations and wealthy aristocracies must be replaced now. Thank you all for your attention. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you will join me again sometime.